Hi YouTube, it's Molly. Really hoping I get this in under 15 minutes. The first time I made this video, it was too quiet and nobody could hear it. The second time, it was over 15 minutes and YouTube hates that. So, I'm really going to try to shorten this, get everything in. I'll probably talk really fast and it'll be unorganized because it was unorganized the first two times, but it's really hard to organize this subject. So, today I wanted to talk about the AMA decision to make obesity a disease. Um, it happened a few days ago. I've been trying to wait to make this video to see if I could come to a decision on what my opinion was. I've yet to come to a decision, finding it really difficult to do so. So I kind of wanted to get a conversation started in our community to see what everybody else thinks about this topic. So doing research about this, I found that there's not really one set definition of what a disease is. There's no set guidelines for this is the things that you need to verify to make something a disease. It's kind of just like, whatever you want to use to classify it as a disease, valid. Um, so the other thing was that um, the AMA saying that something is a disease doesn't really have any direct effect on anything. It has no legal ramifications. It has no direct effect on insurance companies. It really doesn't do anything. There's a lot of debate about what effects it will have, if insurance companies will be more likely to cover surgeries, if they'll be more likely to cover doctors' visits for obesity instead of just the things that are caused by obesity. There's a lot of debate over what it means. But it doesn't directly have any consequences that are set in stone. This will happen because the AMA said that obesity was a disease. There's debates about how it's going to cost our country way more money. There's debates over, if like surgery, the long-term outcome will probably be cheaper, but there's no direct correlation between AMA saying this is a disease and something actually happening. There's a lot of opinions out there that people have on this as to if it should be classified as a disease or not, and what it means for fat people in general. There's a representative from the Obesity Action Coalition that said designating obesity as a disease will reduce stigma around obese people. And then at the same time, there was somebody from the National Association to Advance Fat Acceptance, which I didn't know was a thing, by the way, had the complete opposite opinion, that it was going to make everything worse, that now that we were diseased, we were going to be even more ostracized, and I don't even know. It went on and on and on, and resulted in a hashtag being started on Twitter, which is I am not a disease. And I got stuck on Twitter for a very long time reading tweets. And there are some here that definitely made me lean more towards the side of obesity being a disease. And I know when I start reading these and explaining how I think about them, it's going to seem like, well, she's made up her mind, but really I haven't. But it's going to seem that way. I can just tell you that right now. Some of these tweets I found really interesting. One says, yesterday I was fat, today I'm a disease that must be eradicated from the earth. Sorry, no, I'm a fucking human being. Hashtag I'm not a disease. Okay, this is where I think the hashtag went wrong, because a lot of people were taking this as, I am a disease, you are a disease, anybody who's fat is a disease. You yourself are not a disease. You might have a disease. If you're diabetic, you are not a diabetic, or you're not a diabetes. You are diabetic, but you are not diabetes. So nobody said that you weren't human, that you're suddenly obesity and not human. Just that you may be a human who has obesity. So yeah, there was a lot of tweets about not being human and now you're suddenly obesity. You are not obesity. You might be affected by obesity. I am fat. You will not get fat by sitting next to me, talking to me, or treating me like a human being. Hashtag I am not a disease. There's a lot of diseases that you don't catch by sitting next to people, talking to them, or treating them like a human being. At home, I sit next to my best friend all of the time. She has diabetes. I'm the fat one. I still don't have diabetes. There's a difference between disease and infectious disease. So yeah, argument invalid. There was a ton of retweets on that one, and I just didn't get that. Like, nobody said infectious disease, like I breathe on you and you're gonna gain weight, but a lot of people really seem to like that argument. I need my doctor to treat my chronic illnesses, not treat my fatness like a disease. I'm going to take a wild guess and say that a lot of the chronic illnesses that this person has is probably caused by the fatness. I don't know that, but the fact that it's plural, chronic illnesses, and, heart disease, diabetes, there's probably things in there related to obesity. And there was there's a few things that go along with that. There were tweets that said, the AMA just classified obesity as a disease I suffer from that has no effect on my health. Makes sense. You might not see it now, but there's a really good chance that you're going to end up with something in the future. And you might be being affected in it, you just don't know it right now. Something in your body might be failing, but you don't know that yet. Something might be accumulating some kind of, blockage in your heart that you don't know about. I definitely think that it has an effect on your health. I don't understand anybody who would honestly think that they could be obese and not have any consequence from it. Yeah, that doesn't make sense to me. Does that necessarily make it a disease? I don't know. That's the question. What fat people don't need, doctors to focus more on our weight to the exclusion of all those other problems. Yet again, are all of those other problems related to your obesity? Would obesity, solving obesity at the core help eradicate all of those other problems? Maybe we need to stop focusing on what obesity causes and get to the root of obesity so that you don't get those other things. And I think that possibly with this designation of obesity being a disease, possibly more companies will look into solutions for obesity, rather, if that's better surgeries, pills, whatever it is, that maybe companies would be more invested in finding a solution if it's actually a disease and not just, well, that person doesn't diet and exercise. Which went along with some other tweets that I was seeing. People saying things along the lines of, I'm losing my train of thought here. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm going to change topics. Third time I've made this video and I'm getting myself confused. Okay, so there were some other tweets here that were saying things about family history. There was one that said, my great-grandmother was obese, my grandmother was obese, my mother is obese. None of them were a disease, and now I am a disease. Hashtag I am not a disease. I think to me, that doesn't make sense. To me, the fact that my grandmother's obese, the fact that my mother's obese, and now I'm obese, kind of has like bells ringing off saying, wow, maybe there's something here, maybe there's some genetic predisposition that's causing this family to be fat. So I didn't really understand why that person would be against the designation of disease. I think there's probably a stigma against the word disease that might have a lot of this. A lot of these people not wanting the designation disease, and I can understand that, but I can also understand the fact that if you put the designation disease on it, there might be more people willing to find solutions and help with the problem. So there's this balancing act between creating a stigma against obese people, which there already is. So if it makes it really worse, I don't really know. But and trying to get obesity to this level where people care enough about it that they're going to spend time and money trying to find solutions to the problem. And I'm telling you, there's a ton of tweets on here. If I keep going, I'm going to go over 15 minutes again. I think the last one I wanted to talk about was, people saying, well, can I call into work because I'm fat now? There are plenty of diseases that you're not going to call into work because you have. I don't think I would ever call into work and say, my hyperthyroidism is overacting today. I'm not going to come into work. Or, there's plenty of things out there that you would not call into work for, even though they're considered a disease. So again, argument invalid. Oh, and the last one was that in all of this coming up, there was things coming out about how black women, or is it just black people are more likely to be obese. And all of a sudden there was all of this stuff about how the AMA was racially discriminating. If it's a statistic, it's a statistic. Racial discrimination isn't stating a statistic that can be proven mathematically. So there was all of this other stuff about racial discrimination, which I thought was ridiculous. But in a nutshell, that's like half of what I wanted to talk about. But this is where I want to leave it to the rest of the community. I want to see what everybody else has to say. As weight loss surgery patients, we all either are obese or once were obese. So I'm interested to see what the rest of the community has to say about this decision, what you think the effects are from it, if you think it should or shouldn't be considered a disease. I definitely haven't made up my mind whether I agree or not with the decision to call it a disease. I definitely don't know what effects it's going to have. Nobody knows that, but I'd like to see what everybody has to say. So definitely, comment, video response, whatever it is. I'd love to hear some more opinions. So have a great day, guys.